Hi, it's Josie, and today I'd like to talk to you about your leg position. You really do need a good leg position to give your horse some clear, concise and reproducible aid so that he can learn to do what you would like him to do. There are two main faults that people usually fall into with their leg, and when I'm talking about your leg, I'm talking about from your hips all the way down to your heel. So that is your leg position. What I'll do today is I will tell you what the classically correct leg position is, and then I will show you the two most common mistakes that people make. I'll let you know which one of those categories I fall into, and I would love it if you would tell me in the comments below which of those ones you fall into. So let's look at the classically correct leg position. If Spider would stand up straight. He likes this sort of work. This is right up his alley, standing around while I talk. Okay, so the classically correct leg position requires your knee to literally be pointing where we are going. And the reason for that, I'm just going to make Spidey do some work. Come on, Spider, can you turn sideways? That's a boy. A bit more, one more step. Well, not too far. Good boy. So part of the reason that we want your knee to be pointing where you're going is we want the femur to be lying flat against the saddle. Now the femur is your thigh bone. That's just the technical term. So from your hip to your knee, that big bone there, we would like that to be lying flat against the saddle. Why do we want that to be like that? Because that forms part of your seat. So your seat really runs from one knee all the way up underneath the bit that you sit on the saddle, all the way over to the other knee. That is your seat. So that gives you a very large surface area to be sitting on. So it helps spread the load of you over your horse, making you easier to carry. It also gives you a very large area that you can actually give aids from as you develop as a horse rider. I use my thigh quite often to give an aid. Perhaps if I'm doing a circle to the left and Spider was sort of falling out a little bit, I will put my femur firmer against the saddle to ask him to go that way. So that is why we like our knee to be going facing the way we are going. Some of us girls with a bit rounder thighs might need to pull our thigh out the way to help get it around. I used to have to do that a lot and felt very tight in the ball and socket joint up the top here, and I still work on my suppleness in there because it gets quite tight, especially as I'm getting a bit older. We also have our lower leg position. Now our lower leg is supposed to be sitting on the girth when we are just riding our horse, so just on the girth, and it goes back a hand for if you're going to ask the hindquarters to move. So up the front there with our heels just slightly lower than our toes. So one of the most common things that people do, and this one's my fault, is that they roll out with their knee. So if you look down here, my knee's pointing out there, not there. That rolls my thigh away, and there's a gap in here. Oops, sorry, he's a bit sensitive. I think I touched him with my calf. There's a gap in here where my leg rolls out. So this, I can feel all my weight is actually up here just under my buttocks and sitting in the back of the saddle. So I'm putting a lot of weight on just a couple of pressure points on Spider's spine. When I bring my legs around and put my femurs on there, now I can feel the weight going down all the way on my inner thigh, all the way to my knee. So if you roll your knees out, I don't even know if I'm able to do this. When you try and rise trot, yeah, see, I can't even rise trot. So I find it hard to get up with my leg off my horse. If I go around this way, I'm sorry, Spider. Now I sort of am a little bit like those old-fashioned dolly pegs wedged over the saddle, but it's not stiff, okay? But I can take the weight onto my thighs and not into my stirrups. So when I'm rise trotting, all my weight is in my stirrups. That is not where the rise trot comes from. The rise trot actually comes from the horse lifting you out of the saddle and your femurs and thighs on the saddle and coming up and down. Now I have got nowhere near the weight in my stirrup. I'm just going to turn Spider sideways again. Can you turn sideways, mate, please? Sorry, buddy. And again. And just wait there. So when my knees are out, you can see I look awkward. I feel very awkward, and I actually can't get up out of the saddle. I sort of got to throw myself forward. When I get my legs how they should be, now it's quite easy. I'm just coming almost up onto my inner thighs and back down in the saddle. So that has been my default position, to literally have my thighs rolled out. And you'll see people when they're walking on their horses, their legs flopping around because their knees are rolled out. The other issue people have, and this may be you, I'd love to know if it is that people try and pinch with their knees. I have to actually struggle to do this one, but they pinch with their knees and have their legs, so that usually that means their lower leg has come away from their horse, and they've pinched their horse and they're using their knees to prop themselves up. It's just their knees. What that does is squeezes the horse between the rib bones. Imagine if someone had two bits, one either side of you, and was just pushing into you as they were getting up and down out of the saddle. Not very comfortable at all. And it also takes a lot of energy to maintain your balance. So just remember, the classical position is with your knees pointing where you're going, and the inner part of your thigh, where your breeches are, if you have sticky bum breeches, that should be on the horse, not rolled out like that. You can look down and see where you ride. So that bit should be on the horse. That spreads your weight from knee across your bottom to knee, making you an easier load to carry for your horse and a much more pleasant ride for him. The lower leg sits at the girth, unless you're giving him an aid for the hindquarters normally, or even a canter aid. I've talked about those in the canter aid video. But how much pressure do you use with your lower leg? Well, I've got a little tip for those of you that have waited till the end of this video. It was the analogy that really helped me understand how much lower leg I needed to have on my horse. So let's see if we can do that. So just hang on a moment. Okay, so how much leg do you have on your horse? Now I'm talking lower leg here, and how much lower leg you can get on your horse depends on a lot of things. How long your leg is, how big or small the horse is. I'm short, my horses are big. I've only got a small amount of lower leg on them, sort of from here to here. But what is the pressure that you have on? And this analogy I absolutely love, and it worked in my head, so I really hope it works for you. You have about the pressure of if your leg was a wet cloth. Now don't go do that to your horse, you might get yourself bucked off, but I'm pretty happy with Spider and I knew it wouldn't worry him. So if you can imagine what this wet tea towel feels like, I can pop it on my leg, I can feel it there. That is the weight you should have always on your lower leg. And then that pressure is increased and decreased as you wish to give him some aids. I really hope that helps. Go practice. I love to hear from you guys in the comments, so leave me a message and let me know whether you're a knee out girl or if you're a I grip with my knees. Thanks for watching, guys. I know, it's a hard life being a bloody YouTube star, mate.